and ask yourself, are you ready to decide to stop? If you're not ready, you can just tell yourself, I'm not ready. The addict brain kicks in and they think, no, you know what? I got to do a lot more. Hello, my name is Pej, the addiction interventionist. I specialize in helping people with addiction problems, with alcoholism, and with mental health. Hopefully get the help that they need. Today we're going to talk about what does it feel like to come off of methamphetamines. This is something that I can speak from my own experience and from what I'm actually seeing more and more of when I try to help people that are struggling or coming off of it. First and foremost, when somebody has meth addiction, it's obvious they're not themselves. Some people experience major psychosis, some people experience no psychosis. A lot of people have lived this lifestyle for a number of years, and some only for a short while. Either way, when you are under the spell of methamphetamine addiction, you're in full flight from reality. You cannot differentiate the true from the false. There's a certain way that a person starts to act and behave, many different ways for a meth user, but obviously it happens where they are up for many, many days and weeks. Sometimes they sleep, sometimes they don't. Some meth users, the way that they use meth, can actually sleep and eat, so they can function in everyday life to a certain extent. At least they look like they're managing, but also they sometimes hold jobs and sometimes they lose jobs as a result of doing that. So when somebody gets to a point where they're totally tired of their lifestyle and they make the ultimate decision to get off of it and stay off of it completely, the feeling of a meth detox, the feeling of coming off methamphetamine is much different than an opiate detox, obviously, because it's a stimulant. So a person is going to, I always say, land the ship. Like, they need to land the ship, and it's going to take a little bit of time to do that. First, the most important thing, and I often tell this to people that have meth addictions, first you got to make a decision within yourself. Like, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to get off of it and stay off of it? Because you've made a lot of solemn oaths to yourself. You've always told yourself you're going to get off. You've attempted too many times, but it's usually a miserable fail. You end up right back on it again, sometimes immediately, sometimes after a few days or weeks of getting off. Another thing is if you're going to make the decision, and sometimes I say just go and look in the mirror, have a conversation with yourself, look yourself dead in the pupils, and ask yourself, are you ready to decide to stop? If you're not ready, you can just tell yourself, I'm not ready, and you're going to keep going on in that lifestyle, and eventually you might figure it out or get to a point where you want to stop. But if you're ready and you make the decision within yourself, there's going to be a crashing period. Obviously, when somebody's up for days and days on methamphetamines, usually if they're up for a lot of days, then they're going to be down for a couple of days. So there's a few days of catching up on sleep. Sometimes it's a day, sometimes it's a few days, sometimes it can be up to a week or two, depending on how heavy of a user a person was, and needing to actually rejuvenate, like get some nutrition within yourself, get some sleep, get some, be able to try to manage your emotions, and that's another thing that comes with it. So during the time that somebody's coming off of meth, during that heavy sleeping period, there will be some times, obviously, that they get up to have to use the restroom or want to eat something. A lot of times meth users like to eat a lot of sugar, but they've been deprived of any type of nutrition for such a long period of time that they'll eat anything. And some of them will eat lightly, and some of them will gorge and eat a whole bunch because at this point, they know they're not going to be doing drugs anymore, and they want to be able to at least have some kind of nutrition that enters their system. My greatest recommendation when somebody's coming off of it is to keep hydrated, drink lots of water. You want to make sure that you have a lot of water going within you, a lot of intake. During the process of going through the heavy period of getting off of it too, a person will definitely become highly emotional. There will be times when somebody will cry and not know what's wrong with them. They will go through stages of sadness, stages of depression, stages of uncertainty. It's not so much that they have, the detox consists of a major physical withdrawal to where they are dependent upon the meth, and they will, in an opiate addiction, when you're coming off of that, the withdrawal can be definitely physical. A person will feel it in their bones. The person will feel it in their gut. A person will have a lot of anxiety. When it comes to meth, there could be some anxiety that's involved with it, but really a person's so tired, it's not really much of a physical reaction, with the exception of maybe your back, because you've been up for so long and walking around so much. You may get some back aches, some body aches, but for the most part, it's a lot of sleep that's required. And it's during those times of sleep that somebody's coming off of meth where they suddenly get ideas that, you know what, I can't do this. Like, I need energy. The meth gives me energy. I've gone a few days now with sleeping heavy. Maybe I should just go back and do it one more time. And often they will convince themselves that that one more time is going to be minimal, like they're not going to do a whole bunch of it. And then it happens. It happens to where they go do a little bit and the addict brain kicks in. And they think, no, you know what? I got to do a lot more. I got to get a lot more. I've made a bad decision. I'm not going to stop right now. I got to keep doing this. And so they go back to doing it again. And before they know it, they're at a few weeks, a few months back into heavy meth usage. My whole thing is when I'm talking to somebody to get sober, I tell them, remind yourself that you made an agreement with yourself. You looked at yourself dead in your eyes. I think for most humans, it's hard for them to actually have a conversation with themselves in the mirror, looking at themselves right in their pupils. But if you made this decision within yourself, this is your time to rise above. So when you have those thoughts, when you have those cravings, when you have the feeling of not being able to do this, you told yourself you're not going to, so you have to convince yourself that you've got to follow through with the detox period coming off of meth. Now, when the person is finally, well slept, it's been a few days, maybe even a week of solid sleep, then it's about how do you stay stopped? Like, how do you come off of this stuff? Like, if you've made this decision within yourself, best is to get involved in some kind of recovery community. Surround yourself with other people that were once users like yourself that are now sober, and never look back. Never go back and do what you were doing before. Never forget where you came from, but definitely if you make this decision within yourself, you can overcome meth addiction. Like, you can definitely overcome. I speak from experience. Like, I know for myself, when I was coming off of meth, the one final time, because any other time was circumstantial. When I was coming off of meth before, it was because some kind of, circumstance had happened. It had to do with the law. It had to do with attorneys. It had to do with the police. It had to do with going to jail. It wasn't that I was getting off of meth for the right reasons. It was because I was trying to get the heat off of my back, or get someone to leave me alone, or I would attempt. I think maybe life isn't working. I got to get off this stuff. But the time that I went to rehab and got off of meth, I got off of everything, but it was the meth that really had me. There was a long period of time where I needed to sleep, and often if I would in between that time go and eat or go to take a shower, the emotions that I would feel, the sadness, the guilt, the shame, the remorse, the anguish, all of it was built up within me, and I would often find myself going in the shower and just turning on the shower, laying down on the ground of the shower in the fetal position, crying my eyes out and not knowing what was wrong with me. I would also go through the motions of doing meth when I was coming off of it, because it was such a habitual practice for me daily to hit the pipe or smoke meth or do various things. So I would find myself sitting on a toilet in the bathroom with a lighter, going through these motions with an invisible pipe in my mouth, because it's what I knew how to do for so long. And I was such a drug addict. I was addicted to meth so much that one day it just hit me like a bag of bricks. I thought, Pej, what are you doing? You're used to doing this for all these years, almost 2 decades of meth usage, and here you are, you're pretending like you're smoking meth. Stop that. Like, stop it. This isn't who you are anymore. And that definitely, got me out of that mindset, because when you're in the meth world, it's a whole other mentality. You view the world in a different way. It's like almost indescribable, to the point where I say this because I know a lot of people that use meth, they end up, because they have psychosis, they believe their own psychosis. There are a lot of things that they make up in their mind, a lot of paranoia, a lot of schizophrenic, schizoaffective type of disorders that are produced as a result of drug-induced psychosis. But me personally, there was more I was using, and I never actually went through any type of psychosis myself personally. I watched it around me, but I was using to try to mask something. I was using to try to overcome trauma. I was using to try to lose weight. There's many different reasons that people will do methamphetamine, but when one actually gets to the end of their rope and they're totally done with it and they want to get off of it, it's a process. Sometimes you don't normalize for a few months, sometimes even up to a year, depending on the person and the amount that they've done and their brain chemistry and who they are as an individual. Some people have psychosis that lingers for a long time. Definitely if a person can recognize their psychosis as a result of doing a lot of methamphetamines, they can make a decision within themselves to not give it so much power and just realize and see it for what it is, but let it be and know that you are now trying to live in a different phase of your life, and that is as a non-addicted meth user. If you're somebody that you know is struggling with meth, either to quit it or you want to detox or you're actually in the detoxification process, you can always reach out to me. I would love to be able to talk to you, guide you through this, let you know how I did it, and just give you some hope to get off of it completely. My number is 310-596-9356. You can always text me first, and then we can try to set up a call. And I hope to walk you through this process. My name is Pej.